After George Floyd's murder, we didn't really think it was appropriate to post a reaction video this week. We know that this may not be the place that you come for your political and social commentary, but I felt like with my platform, it was a responsibility of mine to have this conversation. Plus, I really wanted to have this conversation, and I thought if I have questions like this, that maybe there were people out there that had questions like mine as well. This is about 30 minutes of our hour-long conversation. The rest of the conversation will be on my podcast episode next Tuesday with Whit. All the proceeds from this video and my podcast episode next week will go to the various charities I put in my Black Lives Matter highlight. Thanks for watching. Welcome, Chid and Georgie.
I just want you guys to introduce yourselves for our audience.
I am Georgie Badiel-liberty, the wife of Chid Liberty.
Most important nowadays. I take it.
I am a model and activist,
Author.
and author. Too many things, right? and an author. So let my husband introduce himself.
I'm Chid Liberty, better known as Georgie's husband. And I am mostly a social entrepreneur, which is how I originally got to know Whitney, is her help in helping me found and grow our business in Liberia, which was the first fair trade certified factory in Africa, co-owned by the women that work there. And then more recently, I've become an investor, and specifically my fund, Liberty and Freedmen, invests in Black women entrepreneurs and other underrepresented entrepreneurs, because we think that that's another way that we can affect systemic change. But I think for Georgie and for myself, Georgie has a charity that works mostly on getting water to where she's from in Burkina Faso. I obviously work more in economic empowerment, specifically of women, and specifically women of color. But both of us are focused on systemic change. We think that there are a lot of things that you can do to address an issue, but most of these issues are systemic. And so if you're not working on the systems level, you're just sort of painting over the problem or putting Band-Aids.
Can you tell the story about how you guys met?
Yeah,
we were just watching the video.
I watched the Face Africa video. We went out to Dubai and raised a lot of money at this store called Symphony, and all the money that we raised there went to Face Africa and helped build wells in Liberia to bring clean water over there. And I met Chid while we were there and took a tour of his factory and met all the women that he employed, and we met the president of Liberia together.
The president of Liberia came to say hi to Whitney. That's how you were rolling deep. We had a Nobel Peace Prize winner and Whitney in the same room. It was awesome.
It was so cool. Chid and I met in Africa, and then we just maintained a relationship, and you guys met and had an instant connection.
Fell in love.
And we've just been friends since, and we're always trying to find a way to work together, but I think this is the time more than ever. And I feel as a 35-year-old woman, a little more mature, a little bit more motivated, and being a mother and realizing my power there, I just feel like it is now my time to speak up even more. A lot of this really does start with women, because women are the mothers, and they're the role models for their children. That in it of itself is what you do. I mean, that's what you've committed your life's work to, is just highlighting how important it is for women to be empowered, because they have so much more power to help change.
So much influence over
their family
their
and their community. So that's why.
Yeah, and I would just like to say that Chid and I think we bonded because we both, in our wives, completely outkicked our coverage, if you understand. Georgie, that's an American football reference, meaning our wives are way better looking than we are.
You're telling me I'm like Timmy.
I'm like Timmy. Yeah.
We did it, and we're not looking back, and that's just,
He adore you. He loves you.
We love you guys, and we're really happy that you took the time to do this.
We want to put the disclaimer out there, obviously, that you guys aren't representing the Black experience as a whole, obviously. Like, just as Timmy said it so eloquently earlier, you said something like Black people, just like any race that have differences, like a million differences.
Right. They're just as
them.
diverse within their own group as white people are, and to assume that it's a homogeneous population and they have all the same problems or all the same experience, I think is pretty short-sighted. But so we just want to take a little pressure off you guys. You're not representing.
And like there's no way that we could ever speak for the Black community. Obviously, Georgie and I are both immigrants, which is one way that we've had slightly a different experience. I'm from Liberia, which is the only other country that actually has African Americans. So we're still African American and American. Georgie from Burkina Faso. So we always like to highlight that only because you're right, there is no monolithic Black experience. And but I do think there's a lot of power in this conversation and in us as friends. And I guess we've both known each other because I was at your wedding, you guys were at our wedding. We've both known each other since before we were married. Like, we've known each other for a long time. And I think that one of the most beautiful things that we can all do as Americans right now is sit down and listen to each other and try to understand each other a little bit better. And especially for you and your African American friends, I know that sometimes for African Americans, it might feel like a very heavy lift to have to educate your white friends on systemic racism or on police brutality. And it's really emotional. So I actually appreciate the fact that you guys are even willing to record this conversation so that more people might not have to burden their African American friends, and you guys can just share a conversation that we would normally have over dinner.
Also, I wanted to mention that, the police in America will not make a difference as either you African or you African American or you Caribbean. It just doesn't matter. You're Black. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're Black. Every time my husband step out of the house, my heart is beating like that nonstop. Every time I myself step out, we outside, I'm like, oh my God, we're just walking on the street. Is that a crime? Are we doing something wrong? Mentally, we have to say we are not okay in this country.
Yeah.
We have to be honest. We are not okay. Even when you walk in a restaurant, when you walk in a hotel, everywhere you walk out, just the way that people are looking at you, the way that they expect you to be in their head, and then they realize that no, this is not actually who you are. It's just there is a strong and a big racial problem in Africa. People have their minds in America.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
People have their mindset about how Black people are, how they should be. That is what they put in their head. We think Black should be like this, uneducated, stealer, or whatever it is. They just put a stigma on us, and this is who we have to be. And our parents, as being African Americans, and our parents in general, have been trying very hard to educate us on just so many things. When the police even stop you, right away what you're thinking is like, oh my God, my hands. Where are my hands? Just let them see my hands that I have nothing. Even when they ask you for your document in the car, you would that be a crime that I reach to my car thing to just get that simple document and handing to them? Is it going to shoot me? So we have to say that we don't have peace. We don't have peace, and that is every single day. What we have been seeing right now, that is happening. That happened with
George Floyd.
George Floyd. We have to say that this is the everyday life of the Black people.
Yeah.
It's just that they were caught on camera.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's funny because Timmy asked me yesterday, he was like, you know, is this something that, you know, don't we have to account for the fact that police are doing a really dangerous job in a really dangerous place a lot of the time? Not all police, obviously, but if you're, you know, in a high crime neighborhood, do we have to account for the fact that, you know, you're doing a dangerous job? And there are two things that, you know, are really clear. One is that policing is not that dangerous of a job. Literally last year, there are 800,000 police officers in America. 48 were killed. That is less than like 0.2% or something like that. Like, you have a better chance dying as a construction worker on the job than as a police officer. And so if you can imagine, you know, the amount of, even if you live in a high crime neighborhood, like the number of Americans that have committed a murder or will commit a murder, there were like 15,000 murders in America last year. Let's say disproportionately those were Black folks. Like, if we want to go crazy with it, let's say half or so were Black folks, 7,500 murders. There are 40 million Americans, Black Americans in this country. So if we say that it's open season to treat that police treat Black Americans however they want, because they feel danger that a tiny, less than 0.2% of people might be putting their lives in danger, that goes against everything we think of to be American. Like, I want to make sure that my sons get to drive around. If they want to listen to loud rap music, if they want to wear their pants or express their fashion sense a little bit different, I don't think that takes away their basic human rights or their rights as an American. And I think that what we need to start doing is making sure that we all say not in our name. Like, there's no reason that police officers should be treating anybody this way. And the only reason they've gotten away with it this far is because the folks that they were abusing were Black and they were poor. Any other group they did this to in America, it would be done. It wouldn't survive. Mm-hmm. But they feel special license to do this to Black people and to poor people.
I want to know how you guys felt when you first heard the news or saw the video. Like,
so I'm gonna start with Arnold. When he first started with Arnold, we were in Alabama, and we rented a beautiful house with a backyard with horses. And you know, Chid love horses. You know, he will go and feed them with carrots, apples. You know, and when he first broke out, when they first showed a video of Arnold, that night I watched it. I have that man. I couldn't sleep. I was just shaking the whole night. I'm like, I'm gonna get killed? Are we going to get killed? Are we safe? What is gonna happen to us? And until I would tell Chid, I said, no, I don't want you to get any closer to the horses. I don't want you to touch anything. I even don't want you to take photos. I was basically telling him, I want you to stop living. Just stay in the house. Do not go outside.
Yeah, this was in our own backyard.
In our own backyard.
But they were the neighbors' horses.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you were afraid.
They're kind of like on like shared property.
Right, but still too far away from the house for Georgie for you to feel safe. Which I'm
on that property, but Georgie was like, no, don't even get that close to anybody, because who knows what the people around you are going to do. And like, we would jog around our property for exercise because we were scared to jog on the street outside. Because
you don't know what is going to happen to you. How can you live like that as a human being?
You can't. I mean, the only way that that just causes so much internal anger. Yeah. Like, I can't imagine having to live like that.
And then Chid, when you first heard the news that that was basically a lynching. He had been running through the neighborhood.
Yes.
Two white guys, a father and a son. I think the father used to be a police officer.
Yes.
They were suspicious of him because there were some break-ins in the neighborhood, or like whatever.
They looked into it. They said there's only one reported break-in, and it was a guy who had stolen a gun from a truck, and it was the son's truck. And the most interesting thing for me was, I watched the video, and I was horrified. And then I started reading through why these guys had not yet been charged, why the original DA said, it seems like it was self-defense, and that was horrifying. But the most horrifying thing is just remember that 1 year ago, that dad had a badge. That dad could have pulled me over in Georgia, and I had to submit to whatever he said because he had a badge. And that's my biggest concern. We have 800,000 police officers in the United States right now. Who are they? Like, who are these people? Like, how can we make sure that we don't have, in the same way that we'd be scared if jihadis or other extremists were in our police force, why aren't we making sure that white supremacists, white nationalists, and just crazy people, crazy aggressive human beings are not in our police force? I think that's like the number one step. And then number two, this tells you why we need criminal justice reform so badly. Like, one, and this is, I don't care if you're, Van Jones and Cory Booker or Rand Paul and Justin Amash and the most libertarian, everybody agrees that, like, you have fundamental rights. And right now, our policing system isn't really allowing, especially Black people, to live with their fundamental rights. And you could see how it wasn't just that crazy ex-cop. There was somebody who covered up for him in the DA. They passed it to 3 different DAs before finally the Georgia Bureau of Investigation said, oh yeah, something smells funny, and we're going to look into this. And it was until then, with public pressure, that guy and his son, and finally the third guy, were arrested. So
a month later,
watching the video was terrible. It was horrible.
A nightmare.
What really scared me was, like, watching all of these lawyers, district attorneys, and whatever just pretend like, it could have been self-defense. How am I supposed to know?
No, but
what it was?
The thing is, I thank God that we are in the air where there is cameras everywhere. And that is the only reason why we're catching these people, because this has been going on for centuries. For centuries. And at some point, enough is enough. We are tired of saying that, we're going to pray for our oppressor to be better, to God, please change their hurt. No, the prayers time is over.
Yeah,
we are tired. Yes, this is over.
Right, save your thoughts and prayers.
We are tired saying it's going to be okay. We are tired singing at church just to cover up our pain. It is time for change. And that's it. That's it. These people, these murderers, have to pay for what they have been doing to us. They have to pay. If we say America is a free country, it must be free for everybody. Otherwise, it's not a free country for nobody.
I was watching the video, and I tried to watch before he started to get violent to try to see, like, was there something, like, I was in my head, I'm like, I almost hope there was something that he did, because then it would not justify the police actions, but wouldn't have made it as horrific if the police actually felt scared for his life. And that was, I asked Timmy, I said something to Timmy about that. I'm like, do you think that this police officer has is there a side to his story? And even that for me felt like an ignorant question to even ask. But
I think it shows for people like us how difficult it is for us to take our part in this.
Yeah.
It's like we're looking for the reason why that video is okay. Okay, there is no reason.
Yeah.
So, like, it's no longer a Black problem. It's now a problem for all of us. And we have to do something about it.
How are we all, especially through the media, trained to see these situations. Like every time something like this has happened, the natural question has been, well, what was he doing? Like there must have been something that made the police officer.
The thing is, it doesn't matter what he was doing.
I agree.
As a police officer have all the weapon. He have all the training to arrest somebody without hurting the person.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear a lot that police officers' job is to de-escalate.
So it does not matter what this guy was doing.
Yeah. And I think that's
why kill him? The man was on the floor.
Yeah.
Three. The other two. One had his foot on his neck. The other one was holding the chest. The other one the feet. That's murder.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy to think about.
And here the thing is, Black people, we are exhausted of keep on fighting for our simple right. Now, the problem, we are not the problem. We are not the problem. As you could see, the problem is you, is the white people. You have to solve the problem that you have with us. We don't have a problem with you guys. So solve that problem. You're the one that have to be out there marching for us, fighting for our right. Look, when the first autopsy came out, it was false. The family have to ask for the body to do an independent autopsy to have something right. So we are not the problem. We're not the system. Yeah. We're not the problem. So what you two are doing, I think, is amazing. You are using your voice to make the real change. And you need to bring with you every white person you can bring, change their mind and have them solve the problem, because we already out there. We are exhausted. We are exhausted. We are tired. So now we're counting on you to make the difference. The power, you got it.
I've seen a lot of people saying, yeah, like Black people need to stop getting killed by police, but this rioting is really awful and counterproductive. And just how do you guys feel when you hear that?
Well, when enough is enough, it's just enough. People are in the point now. You can see there is COVID. Nobody cares anymore about the COVID. Everybody's like, I don't care. I can get COVID and die. I do not care, but I want my right to be respected. So we are in a point where I would say we are very exhausted. We are very tired. And when you look at on the riots outside, there is a lot of videos where it's not Black people that are looting the stores.
Or the people who are protesting.
Yeah,
there seems to be quite a few people.
There is people out there that are just there to just diminish again the image of the Black people.
Yeah, who are making it seem
like
it's a protest,
all right, every time there is a Black person protesting, look, there is a burn car. We're gonna break all the stores. We're gonna steal. We have been watching on social medias all these videos. I'm sorry to say that I have not seen much, even maybe not one video that is a Black person destroying these things. Not yet. I haven't seen that. So we have to say that whoever really wanted to help, please be out there, march peacefully. But if you do not want to help our community, stay home.
Yeah.
Be safe at home.
And I'll sort of add to that, I think that the arguments around rioting and looting become a distraction. Like, no matter if they're legitimate, just opportunistic protesters that decided they want a, Chanel fur coat, or if, these are literally agitators, paid agitators, sometimes from the right, who are going to make things seem worse than they are. I think all those things might be true. None of that, though, would ever negate the fact that George Floyd should have had somebody stand on his neck for 9 minutes. Like, no matter what. So I think that no matter what, right in this moment, we can talk about that at a different time, and we can deal with that at a different time. And if it comes out that there are people who are legitimate protesters against police brutality who also happen to be kleptomaniacs, we'll deal with them, and we'll get to that. But this moment, to me, is about police brutality, and it's about reforming our police system. And I would love to, there's a whole lot of other things. I'm even scared to have broader conversations about racism right now, because I think we might start getting lost with like, oh, I'm sick of, white people wanting to come up and touch my hair, versus like somebody standing on somebody's neck for 9 minutes. And I think that those are different things. I'm not saying that one is not valid.
I get what you're saying.
One of them is really critical and important, and we got to solve right now. And the others we will get to. So I think I feel the same way about looting and about destruction. We'll get to that. But right now, our moment is about police brutality and making sure we seize this moment to change our policing in America.
I think that I agree with you guys. I think that there's two things going on. I think there are the instigators who are trying to set things on fire to make the protesters look bad, and then I think that there are people who have had enough, and they've taken the knee while the national anthem is playing and done the peaceful protest, and that hasn't worked, and that they want to light something on fire because they don't know what else to do. And personally, like, I think that helps get attention, and I'm not really against it. Like, I'm kind of all for it.
Yeah, no, you're Timmy. We're all here. Like, there have been so many times. Everybody keeps asking the question, like, why now? Why was it George Floyd? And I think that at the end of the day, we're here because, number one, that was such a horrific thing to watch and such a chilling thing. Again, those two videos back to back, Ahmaud Arbery and then George Floyd, and then hearing about Breonna Taylor in the mix. But then also, we have all been sitting home, and because of COVID-19, we're all on social media, we're all watching television, and you see this thing happen, and like Whitney said in the exact beginning, you're like, okay, there has to be a reason behind this. Like, this cannot be the way that our police operate. For Black folks, they're like, oh yeah, that's how they operate. For a lot of folks, they're like, no, I've dealt with the police a lot of times. They pull me over. Worst case scenarios, I'm getting a ticket. You know what I mean? So there must be something provoking police officers from treating somebody like George Floyd this way. And like you said,
I think it's evilness.
Yeah, and like you said,
it's evilness, because I cannot understand how can you kill somebody just live like that without even thinking. And then the three other police officers, the two others that was on his body, and the other one that was standing is just they are free. They are free, kind of like they did not participate to that. They are as guilty as that one that put his his foot on his neck.
Without a doubt.
They are as guilty. They have to be arrested too.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, we have to say that if America want to be peaceful, please go arrest these awful cops. They don't represent America. They're evil. They're evil. Go arrest them. Make them pay for what they have done.
Without a doubt. This is like something that's just that's gonna take a lot of improvement on all of our parts. And just know that you guys making the effort is not going unnoticed for me. And I'm just like, I'm really proud of you. I met Whitney, and I know your heart, coming to Liberia and making sure that, a cause is very important to Georgie, people have clean water, and then number 2, women are able to build themselves economically, which I know is like something that is not something that you did super publicly. It's just something that you care about. Your sister came, your dad, God bless him, came, and we just had an amazing time and really, really, really learned to love your family and have been invested in this with you since then. So, you know, I'm really proud of you, and I'm proud of you for making this effort. And I know that a lot of people really are. So we're going to get this right, and we need your voice and we need your platform.
Yes.
Let's
100.
do this.
We'll talk more once all this kind of settles. We'll talk about how we can actually really do something together, because we are serious about your fund in Black women and getting involved in that, and even finding women that that we want to invest in.
I mean, I think also watching back the Face Africa thing, like it's easy to be motivated now.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose sight about the long term. Yeah. And so
awesome.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Nice seeing you guys and chatting with you.
You too.
Thank you to Chid and Georgie for taking the time to sit down and talk to us about this. If you'd like to see more, hear more, the full conversation will be on my podcast with Whit this coming Tuesday.
Cool. I don't even think we're no longer saying
Peace in the streets.
Yeah, I think we're kind of like,
I mean, we're with the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
See ya.